On you all, and honestly, the last two lectures, I usually in my lectures incorporate some physical activity. It's all innocent, okay? Innocent physical activity, nothing ill-intended. But because of the AC, because it was hot, I couldn't do that. But it seems today it's a bit nicer. Who agrees? Does it feel a bit cooler today? Is it the AC or is it less people? Really? So some people's presence is not actually welcome. But inshallah, today I won't give you a physical exercise still, but we will do something that's actually very, very beneficial. I found this very beneficial. People who can't wake up, who can't function without their cup of coffee in the morning, sometimes actually you can get that boost of energy without the cup of coffee. I said in the morning, sorry. By the way, Sheikh Abu Mus'ab, I have something to confess. I burped today.
I had a feeling that was going to happen.
Okay. Forget it. I was talking to Sheikh Abu Mus'ab yesterday. We were just having a very complicated conversation about our digestive system and all the hormones and the process that goes within. And he just made me realize I haven't burped in 2 years. So he brought the issue up, and thanks to Sheikh Abu Mus'ab today I did burp. So that was a great achievement after all this year of abstention of something that should be nasty. All right, what I want you to do is sit at the tip of your chair, right at the tip of your chair, make your back straight, upright, straight, all right? And all I need you to do you have tissues? Do you guys have tissues? Actually, you need to blow your nose before you do this, otherwise you might look a little bit, not in your optimal state. We're going to do something. I want you to free your hands, just like this. Free your hands. We're going to do a breathing exercise. This breathing exercise is simply going to give you a rush of oxygen, an influx of oxygen in your system that should keep you up for the next 20 minutes. Okay, then Sheikh Mus'ab has to do his own stuff, which he knows how to do very well, mashallah. All right, put your hands up there. Clear your nose. Make sure it's clear. We're going to breathe in and out only through our nose in a very powerful way. Now you know why I asked you about the tissues. So what we're going to do is you exhale, bring the air out. While you do this, you bring your hands down. Any unpleasant thing, I can see it coming out. Any chemicals coming out of your nasal cavity, I can see it. Okay, I want you to do this with me 10 times. We do it all in congregation, so we get some kind of a collective experience. Okay? So we start with exhale, then inhale, all right? That's it, thank you. Some of you were cheating actually, because we usually get a lot of mucus. Honestly, today we're going to talk about a very beautiful topic, and that's a legacy. It's a legacy. I want to share with you a story. The story is actually, in its theme, true. The theme is true. It's a factual story. But the events themselves are not necessarily, factual. The exact events and the exact sequence of events. And I think this story relates to every one of us. It's about a person who lives in a poor country, and he wanted to get married. So he was doing some casual jobs here and there, and when he got married he realized it was a huge financial burden. He tried to find better work, he couldn't find it. He decided to travel to another country where there was some labor available, where the exchange rate would be in his favor. So he would work for a few years, make some money, save it, and then keep sending back whatever his family needs and save a good lump of money and then go back home and establish a business, small business, maybe like a shop or a small supermarket, and sell stuff, and that's it for the rest of his life. So many people, this is how far, or this is the furthest their vision can actually go. So he actually set out, he left his beautiful new wife and he just set out on a journey alone by himself, going through the grind, through the hard work, everyday labor, sleeping with probably 50 people in the same room, hardly getting any facilities or any meaning of what life could actually could mean in a dignified way. He worked hard and he stayed in that country for 10 years. 10 years. And during these 10 years, he would go and visit home. Maybe a few times he went, obviously because, you know, when you get married, you want children, you need to do some kind of genetic exchange. When you do that kind of exchange, some beautiful creatures are brought into existence. It's a spiritual experience. So he went back home a few times, spent maybe a couple of weeks, a month with his wife, and he would keep visiting them every couple of years. After he has saved enough money, he decided in the 10th year this was enough. Time to go home, time to savor the results and the beautiful fruits of my hard work for 10 years. Enough with the expat life. I want to go back home. Usually when he traveled back home, in order to save the fare, he would actually take the ferry, or he would take he would go by sea. And it was a 7-day journey, a 7-day journey. This time, he sent the money back home via Western Union, and then he kept for himself enough money for the ticket and enough money to buy food, to buy some food and take it along with him on the journey so he could actually survive, keep body and soul together. When he went to buy the ticket, he had already transferred the money and he kept the change for himself. That was just enough. When he went to buy the ticket, to his surprise, ticket price has actually quadrupled. It was probably 4 or 5 times the original price he was used to. He tried to object and create some fuss, but the guy at the desk told him, this is what you have, take it or leave it. He looked at his options. There were no really, so many other options, and he's left with very little money. So he looked at the change he had. It was just barely enough for the ticket, and it would leave him with very little change where he could actually buy a little, probably biscuits, a little bit of canned food that he could take with him just to survive. Not a pleasant experience for 7 days. So he bought the ticket, he bought some biscuits, something dry that won't actually go off on the journey, just to keep himself alive. And there you go, he set off on board and he went to his cabin. So the first day he kept himself in his cabin and he was eating his biscuits, and it was a nice experience, something different, something new. So he enjoyed it. But when he went on the upper deck, he saw all these restaurants, posh, beautiful, extravagant restaurants offering the different cuisines of the world. The smell of curry was there, mixed grill was there, whatever, all types of dishes. And for the first day he said, no problem, I'm going back to my family. So the bad days will be over. Second day he did the same. Third day he felt that pain in his stomach, eating these biscuits, this dry food. It was really, having a toll on his system. Plus, he was seeing people enjoying their food every day. So he would go on the upper deck, sit at the chair, and observe other people in the restaurant via the window, eating their foods, and he would just have his mouth watering all the time, seeing people eating all these curries and tandoori and the chapatis, and so it became a psychologically very difficult experience for him. He felt deprived. He felt that he was less fortunate than others. He was questioning, why does life treat me like that? Why did I have to leave my home country and travel to another country where I could actually work hard when people in my country had enough surplus money and they could live a very luxurious kind of life, enjoy themselves. They didn't have to travel and leave their family behind. Why did I have to go through all of this? So this was the kind of thought process controlling his mind. So he tortured himself more. He went back to the same pattern of thinking on board. So he was looking at all these people enjoying their food, and he looked at himself with so much pity. And every day the pity got worse and worse and worse. And how often we do this about, in our own lives. We look at people, we say, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. I had to go through so much. Life is unfair. People in a certain country, people of certain nationalities, they have a lot of privileges. I don't have these in my country. Life is not fair. If we engage in this kind of logic, this kind of thinking, we become our own enemies. We strip our own selves from the power and the potential to experience life to the fullest. Life is not about what you possess. It's not about what you go through. It's about what you bring about. It's about how you shape life, not how life shapes you. So this person fell in the trap of always seeing that life had got the better of him. Life always, favored other people. So he fell into that trap of pity and depression and, inferiority complex. And he really played, the part. Day after day he was torturing himself, and went to the point on the last day in the journey that he couldn't take it anymore. He looked into his pocket, he searched into his bags, and he found some change here and there, and he managed to put it together, and he said, so you see the pride issue? When you always see how life is treating you and you object to that, you always put your pride and your dignity on the line. So instead of thinking, okay, I'm going back to my family, I'm going to enjoy that, thanks God for a good experience that I went through this and I really managed to face it, I made a good decision, and now I can actually contribute something to my family, maybe leave a legacy for my kids, at least secure them with a better future where they don't have to work hard, they don't have to travel. At least I support them, or I offer them some kind of foundation. He didn't think that way. How did he think? He thought, well, now if I go back home, once I arrive, people will ask me, how was your journey? And they will ask me, how was the food? What will I say? I don't want people to see that I spent 7 years away from home and I came back poor, that I couldn't even eat on the ferry. So he decided to get all these change, collect them, search for them, and go to the restaurant and buy the cheapest dish or the cheapest thing on their menu. There he goes, sits on the table, waits for the waiter comes, and he gives him the menu. The waiter says, "Sir, how can I help you? What would you like to have today?" And he said, "Just give me the menu and I'll choose." So he looks at the menu. When you catch a menu, what's the first thing you look at? Honestly, let me get some answers. By show, put your hand up, raise your hand if you have an answer. What's the first thing you look at when you catch or when you hold the menu as you walk into the restaurant?
The price, sir.
The price?
Yes.
Why? This is what you do. No, what do you do? Forget about this guy. We'll catch up with him.
Something that I like.
Something that you like. All right.
Pictures. Pictures.
What?
Pictures.
Big jars? What's this? Pictures. Sorry, pictures. Pictures. All right. So you're more of a visual person. I'm just like you. Obviously, like here in Malaysia, you see all these names. They're all the same. Like all these dishes are the same to me. So at least give me something to see, so maybe I can make a decision. And most of the time, you regret it because it doesn't look like the real thing. Okay. Who has another strategy while studying the menu?
I look at the most expensive thing.
You look at the most expensive thing. We should become friends. I'll join you wherever you go. Who else has sisters? You don't go to restaurants. Come on, admit it. What's the first thing you look at the menu?
Preferences.
Drinks. Okay, very interesting. Description. Do you know what I look at usually? I usually look at things that I don't know. So maybe it's something new that I can find out. But it turns out as well, you regret it. But descriptions, are they helpful in menus? Not really, for me, not really. But anyway, this guy, the first time he got the menu, he looked at it, and in Jordan, in my country, we have a place called the Jordan Valley, where this is the lowest point on earth. We have the highest point on earth, which is in the Himalayas, yeah? In Jordan, we have the lowest point on earth. That tells you how our psychological state is. So basically, that's where the Dead Sea is. It's very optimistic terms, right? The Dead Sea is there, and that's where Qawm Lut were as well. Basically, that's where the Dead Sea is, and it's called, we call it Al-Ghor. That's the lowlands. The lowlands. We have something very famous there. It's the flies. Here you have a lot of mosquitoes. There we have the flies. The flies there are of special type. I have my friend one day, came from the UK, and he brought this new wonderful invention. It's a little device with a little battery, and he basically said that's going to solve our problem in the lowlands. I said, what is it? It says it produces some frequency, sound frequency, that actually drives insects away, so they don't come near. So when we go for picnic in that lowland area, usually we can't eat our food. It turns into fly feast, grilled flies, etc. Because it's all covered with flies, really. And I remember, that was something I witnessed. One of my friends actually, we were there, we go for swimming sometimes, it's the Dead Sea. And he basically yawned. He just said, oh. And there was this fly, not in his mouth, straight into his throat. This is how aggressive they are. So simply, these flies, what they do, they don't land like other flies. They don't just fly like this and come near the food and land on it. No. They have this magnetic power. So they usually fly like this, and let's say the food is here. They fly like this, and that's it. And you wave it, it doesn't move. So this is why he brought this device, and he put it right next to the food. And we said, okay, now for the first time, we're going to enjoy our food. So what he did, I'm going to take 2 more minutes, yeah, on top of my time. So what he did, he put it near the food, this device, this new great invention made in China. He put it there, and all of a sudden, the flies were actually landing on it, on the device itself. So we said, okay, there's no solution, ملوش حل. This is an Egyptian term. No solution to these flies. Anyway, how did I get here? The guy had the menu, and simply his eyes, just like the Jordanian flies, had this magnetic power landing on the cheapest price. That's it. And it was fixated there. He could not take his eyes off. And it was what? Chicken soup. Chicken soup. Merely chicken soup. So the waiter came in, he said, sir, what would you like to have? Just chicken soup. The waiter said, you sure, sir? He said, yeah. He said, sir, it's the final day on the journey. We have all exquisite cuisine, beautiful, foods, whatever, we have Mediterranean food, we have South American food, we have Chinese food, we have Indian food, anything good, Turkish food, you just name it. We have all these varieties. I'll get you something. He said, no, just get me chicken soup. It's a matter of dignity now for him. So the waiter says, okay. He goes and gets the chicken soup. He gives it to the man, and you can imagine 7 days eating biscuits. Now he has chicken soup. So he's gonna, bring it all out on this chicken soup. So he started enjoying every sip of it. So obviously he was making. He had to, live the experience. Then he was done. And he called on the waiter, and he said, the bill, please. The waiter said, sorry, excuse me. He said, the bill. He said, what bill, sir? He said, for the chicken soup. He said, sir, can I see your ticket? He said, of course I have a ticket. He said, no, I didn't ask you if you had a ticket, but I asked if I could have a look at it. You see, when you are threatened, when you see how life treats you and you feel bad about it, if you see yourself as a victim, you're always going to be on the defense. So he said, okay, here's my ticket. He looks at the ticket. He turned it over and he said, "Sir, haven't you read that on the back of the ticket it says the ticket is all inclusive with all the foods on the restaurant for free?" Who feels bad for the guy? Sorry to tell you, how many minutes? 4, thank you. 5. I lived in Egypt for 1 year, I know how to haggle. Most of us live our lives just like that. Most of us go through life just like this. You have in your possession something great, something phenomenal, something exceptional. But because we usually look at the world, how the world treats us in negative terms, we don't realize the mercy that God or Allah has given us. We don't realize how kind, merciful, loving, and so helpful Allah has been to us. So we deny it and we look at what's not working for us. So instead of gratitude and thankfulness to God, which actually fills your heart with love and fills your life and your mind with life and energy and kindness and beauty and potential, it opens the horizons of potential for you. We delve and we dwell on the things that actually don't seem to be working. So we forget about everything Allah has given us and we think about the things that we want Allah to give us, but He knows they're not good for us. Now, I'm going to use this parable, and as I say, make sure you don't go through your life just like this man on his journey. You might be enjoying your time, having great time, doing the things you think you like. But the moment will come when you reach your life, or you reach an old age, or life is about to end, and you look back and you only see a barren desert, nothing. Embrace the reality of life, and that's by following the guidance of your Creator. The guidance of your Creator. Embrace it and live it. A lot of people, when they think about legacy, they think they have to bring about a new invention, great invention. They have to create this great organization and offer to people something that's going to change life on earth, that's going to change like the history or the future of humanity. It's not like this. Legacy is built on a daily basis with the small things you do. And I'm going to give you 3 things that you can live with that I've taken from the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that actually can make all the difference. First of all, start your days with gratitude, with thankfulness to the Creator. Just thank Him for everything He's given you and pinpoint the things you want to thank Him for today. So just ask Him, for example, you had a nice cup of coffee in the morning. So you didn't do the breathing exercise. So you had this sip of coffee and you enjoyed it. Just say, "Oh Allah, I really thank you for this beautiful gift. It's wonderful. I can feel it. It's a gift. I'm so pampered. I'm so fortunate. I'm so taken care of. I live in this bubble of care. So thank you so much. The whole world has conspired to bring you this cup of coffee. Maybe it's grown in Kenya, maybe in Jamaica or in Yemen, and it was sent somewhere else, either New York or Sydney, and then it was brought to you and it was roasted and it was made perfect for you to enjoy it." So start with gratitude. Number 2, extend kindness to the creation of Allah. Extend kindness to the creation of Allah and make it in thankfulness for God. He's been kind to you, so you be kind to others. That's the creation of Allah. So you respect them and you make sure that you give them sincere advice, specifically about where they should go in life. Someone is indulging in neglecting their Creator, you should remind them of Allah. Someone are wasting their time, you should actually remind them of that. Someone doing something that's harmful to them and to others, give advice, either directly or indirectly, and most importantly through your example. And the final thing is that live a life of forgiveness towards others. People will wrong you, but they would do this with good intention. See beyond the vicious acts, the harshness of people. See beyond it. You will see a very tender, soft, broken heart. These are the example. These sum up the example of how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually dealt with people. And we all know the story that when he conquered Mecca, when he came and opened Mecca, and that was his hometown, which expelled him out, tried to kill him, killed his companions, fought him, tried to annihilate the Muslims for so many years. When he came to them, all of them gathered, and he said to them, asked them, what do you think I'm going to do to you today? I've got hold of you. I can just kill you now with one sign, one gesture from my hand, you'll all be killed. What do you think I'm going to do to you? They said, you're going to do only good because we know you. Nothing else can come out of you. If we can reach that level of people that they can feel so safe and so secure with us, so safe and so secure, that actually, because they know they can trust us, then we are producing and we are offering a legacy for mankind. So this is my advice for myself and for you. Live by these 3 principles, and most importantly, be honest to your Creator. And it is, I believe, the topic of Sheikh Abu Mus'ab that he's going to actually, am I right, to delve into the concept of how to worship Allah, how this actually relates to creating your legacy. I might be actually putting words in his mouth, but anyway, I feel safe. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate your attention, your time, and hopefully inshallah we'll have some good time with questions.